All right, I think it's recording now, and I'm just gonna sit beside you.
Okay, cool.
Yes, because it's on 7 seconds.
Okay.
All right, and hopefully it can see both of us. I was playing with the chairs before you came in.
Oh, okay, that works.
All right, so first of all, thank you so much, Miss Gallardo, for coming in for your post-conference.
You're very welcome.
And having me in your classroom. I really appreciate it. So today we're going to do the post-conference for the observation on January 24th. So let's just jump right in. So I sent you the script. Did you get the initial observation script?
Yes, I did.
And did you have a chance to read it?
Yes, I did.
All right, so what I'd like to do is I kind of want to start and have you sort of walk me through, because in the script I give you observation comments, and also give you grows and glows.
Yes.
And then as we're kind of talking through the lesson, I also want you to think about our non-negotiables that we've been talking about with the science department this year as we transition to from ACT to SAT.
Yes.
So even as we're talking through all of this, I want you to never I don't want you to forget about that, because I want us to have a conversation at some point about where we are with that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So, when I first looked at this, as soon as I saw your first observer comment about, do you think it would have been helpful to have kids explain how they knew which one was the mom? I absolutely should have done that. Like, that's absolutely would have been a great moment to make sure that that kid could reiterate and model what they were thinking, so that the other kids got it, especially since it would have helped both the, quote, my students, the ones on my gen ed kids that were in the room, but also would have really helped my deaf ed kids. Okay. And it would have made a big difference, because I know later on you said that you'd asked a kid if they understood which one, and that kid couldn't really explain. And I think based on what we talked about later, I think it was Myra.
Yes,
that you talked to, and it was Myra. And Myra's on the deaf ed list. She's not a gen ed kid all the way. Would like to get her in my gen ed class, for other reasons, but I think hearing that again, that one extra step would have made a big difference for her. And my guess is too, there's a couple other kids that are in the gen ed class that it might have just triggered that last little bit for. And having those moments to remember is really, I think that's a great thing.
So I'm glad you noticed that, because I'm thinking that having those kids explain, I agree with you. I do think it would have helped the others, both the special education, i.e. the diverse learners, as well as your general education students. And I just think also hearing that other voice has such a powerful impact. Not that your voice isn't important, because it is.
No, but like, I know this stuff. Like, I learned this stuff when I was their age. So the way I'm going to describe how I think about it is going to be different from how they describe how they think about it.
Right.
So in hearing each other's ways of figuring out always helps them more.
Absolutely.
It's always more helpful. So that, I think that would have been a very good moment. And
So you know that moving forward, I'm always going to be pushing you on this idea of our kids having an opportunity to explain their thinking so that other kids can hear it.
Right.
So that there are multiple voices, and so I'll be looking for that again. So
yeah,
that's something
and
that
I think it's a big deal.
For.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Is there another spot in particular you want to talk about?
So the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was visuals, and I know that I've been in your classroom a lot,
right? Which is fine.
Lately,
I'm happy to have you.
As we started our coaching,
yes, I'm happy to
our
have
weekly
you.
coaching visits. So I think one of my comments was about making sure that there are more visuals for kids, because in one lesson, and that's the lesson before this one, we were talking about pedigrees, and so that was my comment for that lesson. So when I came in this time, I was really excited to see that you were using, I came in a different period, it was a different group of kids, but you were using an online lab that had a lot of visuals for kids.
Yeah, and it's a great lab. However, like, the reasoning that you have to go through with that lab is too advanced for the freshmen. Like, I think, like, because that was an AP, that the other class was an AP class, because that's mostly my program is AP Bio kids, and so they have to look at stuff from a much higher critical thinking skill. Okay. And the way that lab works is it's more advanced than the freshmen need, and it's really confusing for the AP. I mean, we just spent 4 days
on
that lab with the AP kids.
Okay.
So it's more than the freshmen could do, but I do see what you mean in terms of, like, oh, okay, so these two parents made these kids.
Right.
Maybe, I mean, I couldn't let the freshmen play around with it.
Okay.
But maybe just if we did one cross so they could see it.
And somehow do
maybe
that
maybe that would be enough. Like, or maybe there might be something else out there that would do that.
I want to explore that. I want you to think about for them. If that won't work for them, I want you to think about what would work for them.
And I try to do we've talked about this, and so I am trying to do more visuals, more things, because our kids are thinking in such different ways and different things. And so that's why the mini lesson, I started with that video, but as I mentioned, it was not the right video.
Thank you, because in my notes I said, how does this video fit? Because I was like, I don't get it.
It didn't, but because it wasn't, the student teacher pulled it up.
Okay.
And I didn't want, and she had started it, and I didn't want her to look bad in front of the kids. And so I was like, you know what, let's let a couple minutes of this play and see how it goes and see if it helps. And it totally didn't. But, she's got to take over the class in a week. Like, she's got to take them on as hers.
Okay.
And I can't do anything that's going to undermine her. Right. I just can't.
Well, I think it's good that you want to support her. I'm glad that
it wasn't
when I was watching during that mini observation, which was I think a few days before I came in for this one.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there thinking, I think they could have skipped the video. And then I was like, I gotta ask Gallardo, how does that fit? Because normally I don't have to look that hard.
No, I try really hard. And so I had another just very short clip, drawing out a pedigree and how to label it and what it means. And so I showed that the next day.
Okay.
And that, you could see light bulbs all over the room.
Okay.
And it should have been the first, and maybe I should have just said, oh, it's a mistake, because I am okay with admitting mistakes, very much so in front of my students. That's why, you even wrote down that I said something about, it's been a long time since geometry for me.
Yes.
I'm totally okay with admitting mistakes, especially our students here are so convinced that any mistake means they're stupid.
They are convinced of that, which is why I'm doing those anonymous surveys with
your
students. So one of the things that they're saying in the anonymous survey, and I'm going to just bring this in,
please,
is that they're afraid in some cases to admit publicly that they don't understand stuff. They are willing to ask a peer, so I was glad to see that they were working in partners.
Right.
And I've seen you do that for the lesson that I most recently observed, and I've seen you do group works previously.
Yeah.
So I think that's good to sort of continue incorporating where it fits those pair shares, so that when they're afraid to ask the question publicly, they have another means to get the question asked. But I do want to push you to think about, how do we teach them that they don't have to be afraid? And I want to push this idea of that safe space.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's something that they need.
It really is. The problem is, and I agree so much, it's such a hard thing to implement, because what's safe for one kid is very different from what's safe for another kid. And I always am trying to think about, how do I make my class more inclusive? And it's and having that class, the freshman class that you've been in several times, it's huge.
Yes, that's
there's all
class.
those kids,
28
and there's 28 kids, but then there's also when the 10 kids from the Deaf Ed program are in too. It makes it even bigger, and they're all still trying to figure out. I mean, I know it's almost the end of the first semester, but they're still trying to figure out how to work with each other, and still trying to figure out how to ask it. And it makes the whole nother level that I think is important and I think is great, but.
I think that's going to be a work in progress, but I would encourage you at some point, and it doesn't have to be super lengthy, but saying to them, it's okay to admit publicly in this space that you don't understand something. They need to hear that.
Just making it that explicit.
They need to hear it, because they don't believe it.
No, they don't.
And so of the 150 surveys, 75% of the kids surveyed initially for December said that they're not comfortable admitting, and that sometimes they don't ask the question.
Especially here, they're so afraid to look dumb.
So that concerns me, and they actually wrote that on the survey. One kid actually wrote, and I quote, "I don't want to slow the class down." Another kid wrote, "I didn't want to ask the question because I don't want my friends to think I'm dumb because everyone else is so smart." And I'm like, you're here, so you're smart too.
You're smart too. Yes, but
So I want to make sure that maybe start saying it explicitly, and I'm going to continue to do the anonymous surveys monthly.
Yes, yeah.
So,
but we're going to keep doing it. Okay.
And so the only other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was, so we talked about non-negotiables in terms of using evidence.
Yes.
I'm going to continue to look for that.
Right, yes.
We talked about visuals, because I think that supports the scaffolding, so I'm going to continue to look for that.
Yes.
I want to push you on the vocab a little bit.
Okay.
I think that you are definitely, vocabulary is important. You're going over it with kids. I want you to think about, and I want to try, I'd like to see more of them looking at it in context, in science context.
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing that as much.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about what are ways that you can incorporate that words in context, because that's also one of our SAT non-negotiable things that
we've talked about. Yeah.
And then even as you're working on it, when we're talking to the rest of the department, I need them to know that I'm also looking for that, and I've already started those conversations with them. I think it's something that like we all kind of have to figure out.
Well, the more that we all keep talking about it, then we're going to come up with better ideas together. So yeah, we do need to keep thinking about that. Okay.
So, are you good with the 3 things I'm going to continue looking for
in
terms of what the non-negotiables are?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the script? And that can be from the mini observation script,
or the big one,
the big one, that we just did. Because otherwise, we're just going to kind of continue the process. I'll continue to give you grows and glows,
which I love. And
every single time, I'm going to bring up those non-negotiables. And then have you figured out what your weekly coaching visit day is? Because I tried to give everybody a day.
Oh yeah, no, a day. Yeah,
so I try to come to you on Tuesdays.
That works for me actually. I think that's better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to continue that.
That sounds good.
You'll see me again on Tuesday.
Totally fine.
And you'll notice that I kind of flip around a little bit in terms of the classes, because I want to try to see different ones, so I can see how are the non-negotiables looking
and the different classes, they're very different groups of kids. So and I think how things go throughout the day is different too.
Yes,
because they're tired or not. It's different. So yeah, I would love it if you keep coming to meeting the different groups of kids.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
And then finally, in terms of the kids that were originally on your intervention list, I want to so when I come and see you on Tuesday, I'm going to find you doing a prep, because I just want to do an update, because we just did progress reports.
Yes.
Last time I checked of the kids on the list, some of your kids have already come off the intervention.
Some of them have, and then there's 2 that are still just.
So I want us to go back and look at those 2 that we haven't seen movement. They're still red on our intervention list. So that means that we either need to A, change their intervention, B, figure out like what's going to be the next step for them. And I'm thinking we might need to have a come to Jesus meeting. I
think at least with one of them we really do. Okay. We really do. The other one seems to be trying, so I think some different strategies would be best for her.
Okay.
But I think the other one needs a.
So I think we need to have a face-to-face where we say, what's going on, what might help you, like where's the struggle? Yeah. Because I just feel like we're trying stuff, but it's not having an impact, and the average has not moved enough to continue doing that. So I kind of want to stop doing what's not working and figure out.
Let's chat and figure out what it is. Yes. Yeah.
So if you're good with that, I will see you on Tuesday of next week.
Sweet.
I know your free periods are 3rd or 6th, so you think about which one of those. Either one will work for me.
Let's do 3rd.
You want to do 3rd period?
Yeah.
So 3rd period next week, Tuesday.
Perfect.
Other than that, I think we're just gonna continue our work.
Let's keep working. Yeah, and just with more observation, more stuff you can let me know. I love we come up with good stuff when we talk. So I appreciate it.
Oh, and don't forget, I suggested for another way to get the informal feedback was I used to use whiteboards, but someone was telling me.
I do love that idea though. I did.
If I have someone who will give you. Donate some whiteboards.
Oh, I'd take them in a heartbeat. Yes.
But you might have to get somebody to like chop them in half.
I'm okay with the hubs can do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can do that. The hubs can do that.
Because I have some of those left over from when I taught. And a friend was like, hey, do you want these? And I was like, I know a teacher.
I really would like that. That would be really great. No, I think the idea is, especially with Punnett squares and pedigrees and all that stuff, like that would make so much sense to have them hold them up and show them each other.
And then you can informally chat. No one can hide.
Exactly. No, that would be fantastic. Yes.
We're going to do that. I can't wait to see that.
Cool. I'm excited too.
All right. I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop the video.
Okay.
If you think of anything later,
we'll let you know.
We see each other quite
all
a bit.
the time. It'll be good.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Gallardo.
You're welcome, Miss Horton.
And hopefully, I have video recorded this correctly. So let's see.
Let's hope.
I know, right? And